Hi, my name is Michael, and you're about to learn why the stories you love are garbage. So, there is a question I see frequently. Can we separate a creator from their creation? Is it okay to enjoy Harry Potter if you find J.K. Rowling's transphobic views abhorrent? Is it okay to enjoy Good Omens if you are mortified by what Neil Gaiman did? And my answer to this is well, yes, you can do that, but also you don't have to. So, while there is nothing wrong, in my opinion, with liking those works, if you decide to forego Good Omens because you find Gaiman repulsive, I won't say you're making a wrong decision. It's not a decision I would recommend, but hey, you're not me, we are different, that's absolutely fine. There is, however, a bit of fine print there. We can still like the works of a terrible person, but only if the terribleness does not spill into those works. So, Harry Potter, for example, is fine. There is nothing transphobic there. And yeah, I know some people like to harp on the character of Rita Skeeter, who is unpleasant and also described as having somewhat masculine appearance. But if that's the best example, you're grasping at straws. I'd like to point out here that Dolores Umbridge, for example, is way more unpleasant and also very feminine. That brings us to Mistborn. Now, Mistborn I was the first work of Brandon Sanderson that I've read, and I found it entertaining, albeit not perfect. There were definitely some flaws there, and since that's not the subject of today's discussion and those flaws are relatively minor, I would talk of them in black and white. I would also add a chapter mark to when this talk ends if you want to skip the discussion entirely. So, a bit of background. Our main protagonist is a girl named Vin. She has magic powers, same as a man named Kelsier, who helps her develop them and becomes her mentor. Now, somewhere in the beginning of her training, he puts a piece of metal on the ground, and magically pushing against that piece of metal, a lot of their magic is metal related, he goes high up in the air. He then invites Vin to do the same, which she does successfully, although she freaks out about being off the ground. Maybe you don't see an issue here, but for me that was very funny. See, Kelsier is only pushing against a small piece of metal, not against the ground itself. So, if he is even slightly off center, the force he exerts would be skewed. Not by much at first, but it would push him more off center. That's called an unstable equilibrium. You are fine if you are in the exact spot, but if you move away even a little, there would be a force pushing you away more, and it's usually accumulated very quickly until you crash. Essentially, Kelsier is balancing on a very long stick. Only it's worse. On a stick, you can slightly push yourself to the side, while here, by the way the magic works, he can only push directly away. Now, Kelsier is used to this, and I can't believe that he is able to pull it off, but Vin is completely new. She doesn't have a skill of a circus acrobat. She should have fallen to the ground immediately. Second, more serious issue comes later. Kelsier, see, is a leader of a group that tries to overthrow the evil government. So there is a point where their plan utterly fails, resources they accumulated are seized from them, and the group discusses how they should scatter to the farthest corners of the world in an attempt to hide. Then Kelsier shows them some horrific things that the evil government does, because it's evil. After that, the group decides to try one more time and hopes they can put an end to all that. This is all fine. But then Kelsier says, quote, "If you stay, you have to promise to stop questioning my authority." I don't know about you, but at that moment I would walk out, because that's not the words of a leader that can be trusted. That's the words of a petty dictator who would lead the group to utter failure because he never allowed anyone to point out obvious flaws in his plan. As for the third issue, eventually we get to the final battle. I'm going to spoil it completely, so if you don't want that, skip until I become color again or use that chapter mark. Vin goes to kill the head of the Empire, Lord Ruler, and no, he does not have marks every centimeter or even every inch. Instead, he's immortal, Wolverine style. But earlier, when she ingested a certain substance, she'd seen two ghosts standing behind him. So her idea is that those ghosts could be what protects him, and killing them might make him mortal. That fails. She attacks the ghosts, but can't even touch them. Then another character arrives with a different plan. See, Lord Ruler has those enforcers called Inquisitors. They are really tough, almost indestructible, and the reason for that is that they have some magical metal embedded in their bodies. So that newcomer figured that maybe Lord Ruler's immortality is of the same kind, so ripping a chunk of metal from his body would do the trick. He manages to yank Lord Ruler's shirt off and sees that that magic metal is just not there. Then Vin notices that Lord Ruler has two bracelets on his arms that partially go under his skin. She manages to tear them away, and that finally kills the ruler. Two problems here. First of all, recently, Kelsier killed an Inquisitor by snapping his neck. The real reason the Inquisitor died was that this neck snap also broke that piece of metal in his body. But the thing is, earlier in the book, it was said that Lord Ruler survived several beheadings. So his immortality was not of the same kind. And this character who attempts this is the one who should certainly know. Secondly, while it's great to have several possible solutions that keep failing, they should really go up in terms of coolness. Here it's the opposite. Vin starts by attacking the ghosts, which is a cool idea, at the very least it's novel. Then that other character tries the ripping off magical metal, definitely less cool, especially given that metal-related magic is everywhere. And then Vin does the job by ripping off some metal, which basically repeats the previous option. Decidedly not cool. Nevertheless, I found the book entertaining enough and bought the second one, expecting the series to gradually improve. Oh boy. So, without spoiling much, in book 2 our protagonist, Vin, has a servant, a shapeshifter of a specific kind, who can mimic any body he consumes, as in, eats. That body doesn't have to be alive though, he's perfectly happy with eating a corpse and mimicking the appearance of the living person. In fact, he vowed to never take life. Vin resents that servant for certain reason I personally find stupid, but hey, it's emotion, and emotions don't have to be logical. She also acknowledges his usefulness and keeps him around, which is good. At some point, Vin encounters a group of assassins sent after her. She kills them all. At this point, she's just that good. In the process, the servant's body gets damaged. So he needs a new one. It's not too pressing, he would be fine for hours, but eventually he would need a replacement. He suggests he eats one of the attackers that Vin just killed. And she says no, adding something like, "I am not killing for you." She then instructs him to go home and wait. She goes to the market, finds a place that sells dogs, and asks for the most vicious one that they weren't able to sell. She then kills the dog and brings the body to her servant. Yeah. What? Now, there is a well-known trope called Start of Darkness, when a good character goes off the rails and starts doing bad things. And honestly, if that was it, I would totally understand. Vin went through some terrible stuff in the previous book, and it's not out of question that she can respond by doing some really bad things. But the thing is, usually when the author disagrees with the character's actions, there are some subtle hints that an experienced reader can pick up on. And I haven't picked up on anything. It wasn't the worst thing though. I thought to myself, maybe I'm just dense today. Maybe the hints are there, I just can't see them for some reason. Or maybe Sanderson wasn't at the top of his game when he wrote that. Maybe he intended those hints to be there, but somehow forgot to place them. Luckily, Sanderson has a running commentary on his website. I've read it for book 1 after finishing it, since I wasn't sure there won't be spoilers. This time, I headed to that commentary right after this chapter, and here is what it says. One of my writing groups had an intense reaction against Vin killing the dog in this scene. I'm not sure still why they got so upset, but they really didn't like it that she killed the dog in cold blood, as they put it. So her little "I'm sorry about this" in her head is there for them. At least now they know she kind of wishes she didn't have to do it. That dog had it coming though. Fuck you, Brandon. You want to know why your writing group had that intense reaction? Because they're human beings. Look, I'm not the one to say that killing animals is always bad. Far from it. I'm not even vegetarian. If you end up in the desert and kill a deer just to have something to eat, I would congratulate you on a good shot. If you kill a lion that could otherwise maul you, we're absolutely fine. Killing animals for medical research, sure, no problem there. Research needs to be done. But if you had your character kill a dog just to spite her servant, remember, there were several bodies readily available, you even pointed it out herself, and the dog literally did nothing but maybe bark excessively. If you are wondering why people are upset about it, you aren't human. You're quite literally a monster. And fuck you again for that "dog had it coming" comment. I will never read or watch anything that has Brandon Sanderson fingerprints on it. I can't trust that he won't put something extremely vile in there without seeing anything wrong with it. Unfortunately, that monster keeps being popular, keeps getting more and more wealthy, and keeps writing. And it's really sad. That's all I have to say. We'll see you next time. Bye.